And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are now moving into our second segment for the morning. And Our Circle, they're celebrating their 6th anniversary. And then to tell us all about it, we've got Robert Garbutt. He is the Director of Finance of Our Circle, Director of Finance. And Derricia Castillo-Salazar, who is the Managing Director of Our Circle. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you in. Conversation off air is very, very relevant to what we're about to discuss on air. But let's get into Our Circle, 6th anniversary. Is this the same as Special? Are we changing name? Can you distinguish this? Tell us about Our Circle.
Our Circle is an independent NGO. We do try to partner and collaborate with all the other LGBT organizations, but our mandate is to work with LGBT families from a wide spectrum. Which also allows us not to exclude diverse families such as step parents, such as adopted parents. Yeah. So we work from a family perspective, which caters to the lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender, and anyone who would fall under diverse families.
Okay.
Now, when you're talking about families, do you mean children of, or are you also talking parents of?
We work on both sides of it.
Okay.
And we also work on the fact that family does not mean that you have a child. So it could be two adults who are in a committed relationship considered family.
Of course.
It could be two adults who have a cat or a dog that's considered their child, that's family. Yeah. So we look at family from a broad perspective as to whether it's a family of origin or a family of affinity. Whatever you call your family, we try to identify ways how to support and protect those families.
So I asked that question because I think, one of the things that we know can be the hardest part of what people call coming out or being public about their sexuality or their status is having your family learn to accept it. And we've heard so many stories right here on the show, some brave people from local LGBT communities talking about their mom stopped talking to them, they get put out of the house, they've had so many challenges with families. How do you help with overcoming that barrier? I'm sure that's probably one of the main demands that you have in your line of work.
Yeah, well, it is something that we've identified and is something that we hope to implement in the future.
Of course.
We're looking more of creating some sort of support groups for the parents or families of the people coming out, because the reality is that when you come out, there's a second side to it, which is the family. How do they deal with that? How do they deal with their other family relatives and their reaction to it? And so the support group is to knife sharpen knife, help each other out.
I like the way you said that, and it's also said that things get worse before it gets even better. And I think that's one of the things that we must focus on. How is it like right now, especially for people who want to share how they feel? It's very difficult to live in a box. It's very difficult to live in a small space and then not know exactly what the reaction is going to be. How are we dealing with this, and are we seeing any progress with it?
I think for us at Our Circle, when we actually started this concept of Our Circle, because we started as a concept before we became a structured NGO, we thought the same way. We're like, okay, we're doing so much to empower the LGBT community, but we're not putting ourselves back into the community to see how people actually react to who we are and the principles that we bring behind us. So for us at Our Circle, we try to create an inclusive space where everyone is welcome. You walk into our resource center, we don't ask, okay, what label, we don't put a label on you. We don't say you have to be LGBT or you have to be a part of the community or an ally. If you're walking in just to get information, we accept that. We allow you to come in to ask your questions in a respectful manner, of course, and we try to also bring back information to the LGBT community that although we have rights, we have responsibility.
Of course.
So we can't expect people to react to us positively if we're shedding a negative light into population. So for us, especially with the support groups that we're starting at the center, it's very important for us to be able to have family incorporated into it. Having not only the LGBT persons, but their sisters, their brothers, their employees, because it's a whole nother level, especially looking at Christmas is coming up. How many employees would allow that same-sex partner to come to a Christmas party? So it's beyond just the persons or the individual themselves. So we try to work from a holistic approach.
Let me not miss what is the obvious point here in this conversation. You're celebrating your 6th anniversary in Belize. You're on a national talk show talking about the fact that you identify as a part of the LGBT community, that you have a family, established a family, and that you're out there working with them. We have come a long way as a society. Talk to me about what the major milestones are for you individually or collectively as a group.
Well, individually, one of the reasons why I found our circle, because at the onset, I initially wasn't really part of it. I kind of shoved myself in. But that aside, what really resounded for me is the whole family concept of it, and so to see that certain things, like for example the handbook reference that we developed, because there were certain things, like at the time I was in a committed relationship, and those were relevant questions for me at the time. I mean, it's not that much of a priority right now because I'm single, but it will be still in the future.
Questions like what? Legal questions like what?
Well, as it relates to, for example, Social Security, getting health insurance, going to the hospital if my partner falls sick, will I need to go there and pretend to be his brother or his cousin, and lose that dignity that I have as his partner, So, those type of things, and it's a really, for example, like estates as well, how to deal with that, and what workarounds there are as at present with the current legal system, what we can do and what we're not able to do, and what that gap is.
I think, sorry.
This is about you.
I think as an organization, one of our big milestones has been the demographic survey that we did. Because we were able to capture 116 persons who are in committed relationships throughout all districts in Belize. And we were able to actually get an insight to the fact that these families do exist. A lot of times we bring up new concepts about LGBT. They're saying, oh, you're bringing a foreign concept into Belize. But we were able to actually show that these diverse LGBT families do exist, that children are being raised, and that these children are being disadvantaged because of who their parents are. So for us, that has been a big milestone, because that has allowed us to take our work further into not only stakeholders, but policymakers' doors. To show them that, hey, let's disregard the fact that we're LGBT. Disregard who we love, disregard what we do at night. Look at the fact that we have a right to have children. We have a right to have families. And because we're having these children and these families and we're not being recognized in the legal policies which exist, we're having a handful of children who are being disadvantaged from what they truly deserve.
Okay, so let's put that into perspective, because I think that's not a concept that people really understand until we give an example. So you and your partner, if you have children and you get health insurance, you can't list them as your children or as your what do you call them? The
beneficiary.
Beneficiaries. Thank you.
If they're not your biological child, it's very hard to do it. I've been informed that there might be one insurance company, we haven't checked into it yet, that might be willing to do it. But on a state platform, especially with Social Security.
I was going to use that example next.
Especially with Social Security, it's very difficult if that is not your biological child. For that child to get benefits in the event you become differently abled, or in the event that you were to pass. If that is not your biological child, that child has no claim over any of your benefits, which leaves that child disadvantaged. Another thing is, we've been trying to build a case with the Statistical Institute of Belize, because we know Census 2020 is coming up. However, our household, where we're in committed relationships for more than 5 years, will be considered single income households. So we won't be considered as being in relationships. It's just going to be 2 roommates and a child.
Oh. And so you attempted to get them to include that in the question.
We have been trying to have conversations with them. It's been slightly difficult, but we did forward our concerns to them. I must say that they did respond to us, but it's going to take a process for us to actually be able to do that. We can't expect them to just jump up and say, okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah. But you're putting it out there that you'd want to be included in the census.
Because to date, the only information that exists is our information, which I can see where people would say, okay, it might be skewed, it might be, it might not be accurate or reflective because it's such a small amount. However, if a national entity were to take it up and try to get this information, then you would see where it would be more relevant and probably have a more resounding effect.
But the challenge here really lies in the law itself. And so, you know, I think that's always, because we did pose that question to the Social Security Board about the benefits issue when they were on the show.
Yes, we did.
And I think that their response was that legally in Belize, you know, a union is still man and woman. And so I think everybody kind of just takes their cue from that. We know that LGBT organizations have taken up advocacy causes in the country. Is that something in the horizon, or are you simply hoping that there'll be like enlightened groups that may be a part of this movement as they move forward?
I think we're hoping to get a wider support base. Because initially we must admit that when we started doing this work, although we were speaking of inclusion, we were still leaving out different types of families. And as our work evolved, we went from LGBT families to rainbow families to just diverse families. So for us, that has been an effective strategy where we've been able to not only pool in the LGBT community, but pool in blended families, step families, pool them in and show them we're all facing the same struggles, or children are being affected because of the way a lot of the laws based around our families have been written and been interpreted. And I think that's one of the big things, the interpretation of these documents which exist. Because to date, there's not a document in Belize that defines what a legal family is. And I do know that NCFC, because we've had several meetings with them, have been looking to revise their policies and making it more inclusive. And I think that's a great step in regards to creating security for diverse families within Belize.
I think you're using the right word in diverse families, because it comes in all shades, it comes in all color, it comes in however you feel. This is how I feel, and this is my unit, my family. Now, you know, the breakthrough is one of the things I definitely want to know about, and I'm saying this because there are a lot of people who might not know, and I think that's where we're supposed to hit, the breakthrough. Now, what is the advice going forward? Because celebrating your 6th anniversary, and we're actually seeing now a tone down of things in our country in terms of appreciating what this life is about. What's the advice being given to you? Where are you getting that, by the way?
We're getting it from the community, because we've started a new project, the Family Equality Project, where it's allowed us to actually reach out to community members. We've already identified these 116 persons, so we're representing them based on that executive summary and that research that was done. But we've been reaching out to more persons who are either more closeted or more comfortable in their lives, and not being associated with the intimacy of trying to secure things. So what we've had to do is we've had to go out to the community and educate them, like, okay, we're happy now, but what happens if this or if that? So for us, we get most of our insights from the community themselves. We also reach out to organizations such as NCFC, Human Development. I mean, these people have been working with families and with policy for so many years. We can't disregard their input. So we've been very intimate with them in seeing what's the best direction to go.
And if we're talking about children, you know, I think that's a key area. Children shouldn't have to face any level of discrimination. It's always, and even more so unwarranted, because someone wants to question their parents. So talk to me about some of the challenges that you are seeing. I don't want to paint the picture that things are A-okay in the country. I know there are challenges. But what I appreciate is your optimism coming in and saying, okay, we've gotten this far, but there is a longer road to go forward.
Yeah, there is. I think, Rob, you
Yeah.
Challenges.
Yeah, well, I mean, the personal challenges is still there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, thankfully, you know, I'd be what people considered straight passing, but like, you know,
what is that? No, wait. What is that? Educate us here. What is straight passing?
Straight passing would mean like if you look at me, you wouldn't know that I'm gay.
Oh.
Right? You would think that I'm a regular person.
Regular person.
Yes.
By societal standards.
It means people don't identify you at first impression. Okay.
Yeah. So So I mean, for me, it's not that much of an issue. But I've seen many of my friends, you know, they tell me stories of them just walking on the street, minding their own business, and they're being yelled at.
Yeah.
Being stoned at, you know. So those things still exist. Thankfully, you know, like there has been a tone down in terms of at least the church. But aside from that, you know, like it's still there. You know, we still gotta be careful of where we go, how we act. There's always this lingering thing behind your head. You know, am I acting straight enough? You know, like because that's the reality. You know, wherever you go in a public area, that's the reality that you gotta face. You know, and just for self-preservation's sake, and
But on the flip side, have you found more people being supportive and open in conversation?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. Especially the generation coming up, they're definitely way more open-minded and are able to understand logic.
But that comes from the fact that you guys are vocal about it, because they wouldn't learn it if they haven't been hearing about it. And I think this is where the breakthrough must take place, whereby we continue to educate these people that we are people too. You know, that you're doing what regularly, you're living your life regularly, and this is how I think people would eventually accept what the life really is. So while we're celebrating this anniversary, you guys are doing this. It's going to be a big thing, I feel. Tell us about this anniversary. Let's get to this anniversary.
Okay, all right. Well, it's a secret. Come on.
It's not a secret. It's not a
I do
secret.
have one question. So before we go there, I do have one question, because I think, you know, our circle has really established itself in terms of being able to offer inclusive events. And I think it's beautiful. You know, we've heard the other organizations talk about it before, because there's so much we take for granted. I can go to the beach with my family. I can go to a dance with my family, and I can dance with my partner. Now, if you are a part of the LGBT community, there are many things that you have just not participated in or fake straight, you know, to be able to integrate. But you created these events just for the purpose of having anybody who's comfortable to come on out. What has that been like?
It's been scary to a sense.
Really?
Why?
Yeah, it is, particularly because every event that we have, we must always think of security. So for us, it's okay, someone might just be posing to be an ally just to get information, and then we still have LGBT persons who are still reluctant to attend these inclusive spaces because of the fear of being outed. So we can create these events, but what we've been working towards is creating the event and ensuring that there is some level of respect. And I think one of the things that we've achieved is the fact that if we create the event and make it inclusive, and like I mentioned, we don't go around saying, okay, I'll tag you pink because you're gay, tag you blue. So no one can actually walk in and say, oh, Marlene is a lesbian, John is gay, because they're at an Our Circle event. Because it's inclusive. We have family, we have grandmas, we have everyone who come. We have our games night where people come in, and I think the frightening thing is that we've created this space, and by getting more people into this space, we have to be more open with our advertisements. Because we started initially as a safe space. And the more we advertise, the more risky it would become. So we've had to be able to weigh our options in regards to risk and stuff in creating these social spaces. But I think we've done well. We've never had an issue at any of our events, we've always been meticulous in our planning and putting safety first, safety and security first. So having these safe spaces has been something that people look forward to. You're allowed to free up, you're allowed to be who you want, you're allowed to just be yourself. You don't have to fit into what gay is supposed to be, what lesbian is supposed to be. You're just allowed to be Robert and Derricia.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. It's
What's
grown
it like
a lot.
on a personal level? You know, I remember Simone from Petal talking about dancing publicly for the first time and just how powerful that moment was for her. And I never thought of it. You know, I think if you fit society's norms, you don't think of what it's like if you don't. And so tell me, you know, what has it been like when you were in a relationship and you attend one of these events with your family, with your friends, and there's just that sense of openness?
I think for me, first I must say Simone and I are on two different generations.
I know. But it's a story that connects.
It is.
You can answer to her later.
For me, it's always been easy. I must say, there is a different level of discrimination when it comes to lesbians and when it comes to gays. Lesbians are tolerated. So I've never had any issue with being out with my partner or attending an event with my partner. However, that's one of the main reasons why we created this inclusive space, LGBT, because we felt that it was unfortunate that you would tolerate the lesbian community and bash the gay community so harshly, or bash the trans community because you don't understand it. So for us, well, for me personally, it's been fulfilling for me to see that the other parts of the LGBT community could feel a step closer to how I feel in regards to being in these spaces. So I
And Robert?
Well, back to what she was saying, it's a totally different experience for gay men. And like when I was in a relationship, even attending the events where it's safe, there's this still lingering thing behind, like, can I do this? Because it's been ingrained in us so much that we can't do this. Wherever we go, we can't show public affection, we can't hold hands. There's a lot of things that you can't do. So when there's a safe space, and at the time when I was in a relationship, it was all new. It's this new environment where you can be who you want to be, but you are so oppressed by society that know that you have the opportunity. You're afraid. Can I? Am I allowed? I'm really happy that there's that space now, and I'm hoping that more of the community members take advantage of that.
And as you said, it's inclusive because allies are invited, which means if you support, you have that openness, go ahead and be a part of it.
And I think one of the big thing was in the past, we did a lot of sensitization and work with persons outside of the LGBT community, when in actuality there was a lot of discrimination and stigma within the LGBT community. So we had to create this space to come together to actually understand, okay, we can't ask society to treat us as equals if we can't treat ourselves as equals. I mean, because for instance, the trans issue is a brand new issue to us. Some of us are a part of the LGBT community for years and still don't understand what it means to be trans. So we're thinking this gay guy is too feminine. You can't be, I mean, why don't you just be gay like the rest of us? So there was still that misconception as to what it meant to be LGBT. So we had to create that space, hold those discussions, and the easiest way to do that was the Belizean culture way. Let's hang out, let's chill, let's pull out some dominoes and some cards, and let's talk about it.
But we're still running away from this.
I know. Now we can close up.
There we go. So what's going on?
What's the celebration?
All right. Well, this Saturday we'll be having a pool party for our. And it's again to celebrate. Everyone is invited, of course. It's an inclusive event, but it's to celebrate what we've done, what we want to do, and hopefully we can get as many in attendance, so it's a successful event. But yeah, that's really that's the big event that we're having.
We want to celebrate.
Where's it going to be?
It's going to be in Belmopan.
Okay.
That's all we're telling you.
So we can't. And again, this is the closed open space because that you want people to contact you to get the details because you don't want to have an unnecessary
attention.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we want it to be a nice.
And there'll be cake.
Cupcake.
All right. So how do we get in touch with our circle?
We're on Facebook, like everyone else. We also have a website, which is www.ourcirclebce.weebly.com. Yes, we're not as rich as you think, so we had to find a free domain.
On Facebook.
But we also have our center at 14 New Road, Lower Flat.
Okay.
Where we try to create and maintain that safe space for everyone. So
thanks. So what's your message to everyone? You know, as you celebrate your 6th anniversary, an organization made to help to empower families, not just families of LGBT community, but just families in general. What's your message in reaching this milestone?
I think if I could leave with one message, it would be, we've come a far way. Yeah. There's still more things that we need to do, but I think thanks to all those who have supported us throughout this journey. Some of the discussions were very hard discussions to hold. Yeah. But I think from me, I would say thanks to everyone who supported us. Thanks to all the organizations and stakeholders who, even if it's just sending an email to say, hey, I can't be there, but this is what I can do or what I can't do. It's been greatly appreciated, and we do hope that in a couple of years we come here when John has his walking stick, and we can say, John, Marlene. Well, Marlene, he never gets old. Sorry, John.
No problem.
And we can say we're there. We're a step closer. We're there.
Yeah.
So
excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
Well, thank you for coming in. Congratulations on reaching this milestone, and we really do wish you the absolute best on the celebration of your